Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the next episode of the Min Mob Podcast. Jason here, joined by my buddy Alex across the pond in Germany. We're going to dive into what in the world is going on with this freaking Trump coin and so many other things, guys. Stay with us. Should be a fun conversation. Alex, are you a millionaire thanks to Trump?
Thanks to you, almost, man. But unfortunately, well, let's start at the very beginning. I remember we had Spaces last Friday. You know, the world was full of peace and harmony. And if we look at it now, it looks kind of different. I remember waking up. I think it was Saturday morning, and I received a message from you saying something like, "Did you get your Trump coins?" And I was like, what is he talking about? I felt like it's probably some sort of airdrop or something I can claim. And, you know, I started going on X, checking everything out. And then I saw, I was like, okay, that can't be possible. Like, I felt like I saw Trump's post. I saw that famous, here is my meme coin, blah, 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 with the website and everything. And I felt like probably what everyone felt. Like, you know, he probably was hacked or something. And I never would have ever imagined to see you in the trenches, man. So, yeah, I did go on Dex tools and everything, try to see if it's legit or not, and I saw that it actually was, and it made tremendous volume. People were buying like crazy. I think I responded something to you, and you were like, "Yeah, I got in kind of early," and I felt like, okay, it's at like $14 or 12 or something. It already ran pretty much, and it looks like it's going, like at some point it's going down again. Yeah, I did not buy in, and as you guys probably know, it went all the way up to 75 or something. Yeah, I missed it. I had a lot of FOMO during that write-up. But I think one of us has been pretty lucky. And yeah, tell us your story with the Trump coin.
The official Trump coin. I love it. I love how they put official in everything. It's pretty hilarious. But yeah, I just stumbled across it. I was actually hanging out with my wife watching 1923, which is the prequel to Yellowstone. And I just happened to flip on X for whatever reason, and I saw someone posted about, you know, Trump making a splash with his coin and blah, blah, blah. So I went and looked at it. I'm like, this has got to be ridiculous. And so I went to his timeline, and sure enough, he had posted on his personal timeline that he had launched a Trump meme coin. And so I went and took a look at it, and it was trading at, I think it was trading at $4 at this time. And my wife is a big Trump fan, so I just jumped into Phantom and I bought her, you know, like $30 worth just to say that she owned it, you know. So she had like 7.5 coins, whatever it was. And then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Everything this fucker touches turns to gold. So maybe I should take a hard look at this. And I remembered what happened with his NFTs as well, because back previously when they dropped the NFT collection on, I think it was Polygon, you could have bought one of the NFTs for $99. And they had set up a website where you could buy using traditional rails. So you could buy using a credit card, which was really, really smart. And so, you know, looking at the valuations of those, even after the fact, you know, a few weeks later, they were like 400% gainers. So I'm like, you know what? Everything this guy touches is, you know, is basically is going somewhere, because the brand is so strong. He's been around forever. I should probably take a hard look. And I went to his website, and it was the same group and setup as the previous website that I saw from the NFT collection, where you could onboard using a credit card or, you know, obviously buy via crypto. And, you know, obviously very smart way of handling it. So I was like, okay, well, this is the same format as last time. They had an official link to the contract on Solana. So, you know, just grabbed that contract to make sure I had the right token, went over to Jupiter, and I found it. And by the time I did all that, it had already gone from $4 to $6. So I just threw $2,000 at it. And, you know, I was like, all right, well, I'll double and then I'll just get the fuck out of there. And, you know, I basically watched it go to 12. And then my wife was like, you know, I was like, hey babes, I just made us $2,000 in like 5 minutes. is I'm gonna go ahead and take profits. And she's like, all right, no, 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 let it run because it's Trump, she convinced me to hold it. And I'm like, all right, well, this is a shit coin, so I don't really want to hold it. And so we went back and forth, and finally, I was like, all right, well, I'll sell at, the next 10, which would have been 20. So it hit 20 pretty quick, and then it was at 25 pretty quick, and then it was at 30 pretty quick. And I'm like, all right, enough is enough. I'm going to go ahead and, take some profits. So I sold almost half of what I was holding and picked up, like $5,000. And then watched it kind of struggle around, and we were just sitting there watching that show. So I was just watching it struggle to move up and down, and then it hit. I think it went to 40 later that night, and then 50, and then 60, and then 70. By the time I was up all night, by the time I was going to bed, and so all I did was just start selling, like 10 tokens at a time every time it went up 10. And so I picked up like $7,500, $8,000 just doing that. And then I'm still holding, I don't know, like 110 of those tokens. And with it sitting at, I think it's 39 or $40 right now, I'm still up whatever that is, eight times. So I've already made my money, and, we'll see what it does. But, being that it's a shit coin, I have no intentions of holding this thing longer than I have to. But I already made my money, got my initial capital back. The first rule of money is don't lose money. So I can already promise you I'm not going to do that. So letting it ride right now is kind of on my agenda because I don't stand to lose anything at this point. So that's my story for the most part.
Yeah, it's a lot better than mine, to be honest. But what I'd like to know is when you saw that coin for the first, when I checked Dex tools and I looked at the chart, I saw that in the very beginning, and by that I actually mean the first couple of minutes, you were able to buy that coin for 20, 40 cents.
Mm-hmm.
When you bought it, there must have been an insane volume already. And I mean, when I looked at the chart, I saw, buys coming in like I don't know, hundreds of buys every second. So when you went to Jupiter, did you have trouble like changing your Solana for Trump, or was it seamless?
No, I didn't have any trouble buying. I had trouble selling because it went to 70 multiple times. It went like 60, 70 a couple of different times. And the first time it went to 70, I couldn't get out of it. So it dropped down into the 60s before my transaction ever would go through on one of my sells. And this is one of those things, where you're talking about chain. It was a combination of obviously interest in the token, but also chain congestion. There was a lot of people who were having trouble getting transactions to go through. And so, even to one point where on Jupiter Exchange, like when you put in your pair to trade, it wouldn't even show you a chart because it was so busy trying to handle all the requests. So you couldn't even see where the coin was moving. And so and I think that's one of those things that, obviously if you're trading around, you're going to experience pretty regularly, especially on blockchain, since blockchain tends to be, vastly slower than our standard database would be. But, for the most part, after I had, pulled out, my 400, 500%, I didn't really care at that point. There was no stress. So it was just a matter of I already knew I was going to win. So it's just a matter of how big was I going to win, right? So it took the stress out of it. But if I saw somebody posted I think this was for Melania coin, which came out yesterday, but posted something like, I put $80,000 on Melania coin and then I couldn't sell it or whatever. Thanks a lot, Phantom. That was all my money. Now I'm going to die, kind of a thing, I was like, why in the fuck would you put all of your money on a fucking shit coin? It makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, I get it. You're trying to bet big and win big, but come on, man. On something like that, 80 grand really on Melania coin. Come on now. Surely you know that the volume wasn't going to be there. And if it was, chain congestion had already been an issue. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually why I asked, because when I saw Melania dropping, I read a lot of tweets about people trying to buy, but the transactions didn't go through. So in the end, if you look at both coins, or if you look at Trump's coin for at first, do you think it was a good idea?
I think it was brilliant, honestly. I mean, again, we talk a little bit about how pathetic the situation is for, sales and NFTs. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that people either are not focused on building a strong brand, or they're too young, or they're just using hype. They're using all these temporary means to sort of exist in the space. But when you're talking about branding, like like when you think of the Trump brand, what do you think of? Like, I think of like high-end hotels. I think of private jets. I think of success. Like, I just think of success on every level, right? So it was interesting to listen to your exploration of the Trump coin versus mine. Like, you were like, well, I was on Dex Tools and I was looking at this and I'm looking at the volume, and I was like, I didn't look at any of that. I'm just like, it's Trump and it's officially Trump. The guy, everything he touches is magic. So I'm just gonna grab it. you know, like at the end of the day, it comes down to, on some level, the branding, the marketing, the decades upon decades upon decades of investing in creating what that brand stands for matters more than all the rest of it on some level, right? In the infancy anyway. Like, obviously after it's been around for a while, it's different. But in the infancy, that's guaranteed. It almost guarantees you a win, right? So for me, it was a no-brainer at that point, even though I completely despise shitcoins. So was it a good idea? Absolutely. I mean, this guy is, positioning himself as the Bitcoin president, or the crypto president, or the first president to ever sort of adopt these tools. So what better way to draw in younger people, to signal to the marketplace that you are indeed that person, than by participating in it, right? And then, of course, there was all these knock-on effects. There was so much interest in Trump coin that you saw Solana go through the roof. I mean, it almost hit 300, or hit close to 300, which was a new all-time high for Solana. And then, of course, a bunch of people sold Solana and it dropped way back down. They took their profits. So, I mean, the way you can look at this a bunch of different ways, but you had a guy coming in who has sway over millions of people, who's proven himself to be savvy in the financial markets, and who has taken advantage of the brand that he's built. Whether it was him or his kid, maybe it was his kid, who knows, or Barron, the younger kid. But either way, it was a massive signal to the marketplace that, hey, we're going to play in this game called crypto. We're not going to ban it. We're not going to take it away from you. We're not going to try to eliminate it. We're here to play in it. And I think that's a super, super strong signal. It was actually kind of funny. Somebody posted a meme, when the Trump coin launched. It was like Barron Trump, the kid. And it was like, hey, Dad, let me borrow your phone for a minute, And then like a minute later, there's like this, $70 billion valuation on the Trump name. And then after the Melania coin dropped, somebody took that same meme and they're like, hey, Dad, here's your phone back. Hey, Mom, can I borrow your computer for a minute? Right. So, I mean, there's probably some truth to that. Like, I doubt Trump or Melania had anything to do with these tokens at all. They're attending inauguration, they're going to parties, they're doing all the rest of it. Aside from just signing a document that says, hey, do it, I'm pretty sure they had nothing to do with it whatsoever. But basically, Trump was able to leverage billions and billions and billions of dollars of market cap instantly. And now he was able to give that same gift to his wife. And who knows, maybe Barron is next.
Okay, yeah. First of all, I do agree. I think Melania probably doesn't even know how blockchain works. But in the end, like, if you look at it in a way to see if it was good for the whole crypto space or not. I mean, you already mentioned it. A lot of people were basically, I think you said people were able to purchase that coin using their credit card, which means a lot of people outside from crypto were basically able to get that coin. But on the other hand, you saw that coin sucking a lot of liquidity from other altcoins as well. And after we had Melania now, that kind of opens up the door for so many people out there to create a meme coin. I mean, we had that in the past already with some some of those celebrities, throwing their meme coins onto the markets, basically promoting it and dumping it right after. But it always has been kind of, icky, like I don't know, like almost like illegal. You didn't really know if you get in legal trouble or not. And now it feels like everything is allowed. So don't you think that opens up the door for so many people to come up with their meme coins now, and probably later, like damaging the crypto market in general? I mean, right now, Bitcoin, Solana, and the Trump coin were obviously the winners. Um, but on the other side, all the other altcoins were basically suffering.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, in the end, like I can't really decide what is right, because on at first you said that Trump came up with his brand, basically um, basically pulling so much money into his own coin, and you do not need all that shit that other projects promote, like that these blockchains promoting their use cases and blah blah blah. In the end, nobody uses these anyway, so we all saw that all we need is a good brand. But um, yeah, like I said, in the end, I read rumors about, like I think I saw yesterday that the website from Melania was created yesterday in the afternoon and dropped a couple hours later. Then I saw that the World Liberty, the company from Trump that is currently investing so much in crypto, that um, they purchased addresses for, like, I think for Barron, and for what else was there, like so many addresses that could like potentially lead to more meme coin drops.
Hmm.
And yeah, what do you think about all that? Do you think that opens up the door for a lot of meme coin drops to come, and a lot of liquidity sucked out of the markets?
Not really. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, well, I'll tell you how I view it, right? If, let's say, for example, we're talking about the real world, right? And we're talking about, I don't know, cereal, right? Like every morning, people have their cereal brand, right? And, like back in the day before Kellogg's or General Mills or whomever came up with boxed cereal that sat on a shelf, people had to basically prepare food every single morning. There was no pre-prepared food. And so when you look at a company like Kellogg's or General Mills or whomever was the first, what we notice is that they were a technology company because they were able to take a foodstuff and put it in a box that would last on a shelf for months on end. Okay, so the technology is what made the cereal become like the morning staple. You wake up in the morning, now you can have cereal in a box. And that pretty much eliminated, every other person who would have been competing with them on trying to like create a boxed food, because they were first to market. Or if they weren't first to market, they did it better than everyone else because now they had bagged food that was safe from, bugs and rodents and all the rest of it that could last on the shelf. And so they took over the market share. And today, 150 years later, they're still around, right? It's not that the liquidity was sucked out of the market and all these other great things died. It's that the liquidity went to where the value proposition was. Okay. So same thing here. Trump comes into this market. This is clearly a technology market. This is clearly a market that has been leveraging brand and leveraging hype since its infancy, since the very beginning. And what we've seen is that the vast majority of these tokens are just garbage that's been hyped by paid influencers or groups of people operating under different names, working in cahoots to get people to buy and then dump on them. And so, we've got people doing it badly, and now we have someone who comes in who has a strong brand and does it very well. Not only did they make it easy to buy by using credit cards and traditional business rails and websites that actually clearly told you what the token address was and who the owners were and, what companies were involved. Like they did everything above board and everything transparently so that you could actually see that there was some value there. And if you understand how branding and marketing works, this is one of those sort of once in a lifetime or once in a market cycle opportunities where you could really capitalize, So did it suck liquidity away from those tokens, or did those other tokens just such garbage piles, steaming garbage piles of shit that people decided, you know what? I don't want to waste money on this crap anymore. I want to actually make some money here. And if that's the case, that's how I look at it. Like, as you know, I've never bought a shit coin in my life until Trump, which is in my mind is still a shit coin, which I will completely dump. But at the same time, I'm not going to pass on an opportunity as good as this, where there's no opacity. I understand what's going on, clean websites, clear ownership lines, and exactly what needs to take place. So do I really give a shit if liquidity gets sucked away from all these pretenders and all this garbage in the marketplace that really is just designed to steal from people? I don't care at all, not even a little bit. And the funny thing is, like, I think Trump on CoinMarketCap in terms of market caps is sitting at like number 24 or number 25. And, you mentioned earlier, it's like there's no utility for the token, you don't have to have any utilities to garner a large market cap. And what I meant to communicate there is, like, what I'm saying is there's all these completely legitimate feature chain coins, pick one: Tron, Chainlink, Avalanche, Stellar, whatever, pick one, DAI, whatever, it doesn't really matter, pick one. They've been around for years and years and years and years and years. And what we saw meme coins surpass a lot of them, go all the way up to number 24. Why? And the reason why is because people saw value in the brand. It's the same as me. Like, I didn't do any technical analysis other than just verifying legitimacy of the origins and then buying on the name. So the name alone was able to create value for me. Whereas a lot of these feature chains that are trying to do this and trying to do that and trying to do this utility and the other thing, they have zero utility to me, so I'm never going to buy them.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, when people claim, they have long-term backs investing in, I don't know, Chainlink or like the ones you mentioned, Algo, whatever, they usually do not really believe in the technology. They just feel like they believe in the cycle maybe, and they believe this shit can go up once pretty quick, and they want to make profits as well. And if you look at this like from this point of view, it definitely makes sense that so many people like went into Trump and bought that coin, because as you said, it was actually a sure shot, especially if you saw it pretty early. So yeah, I get that. I just wondered if if it happens like what I just mentioned, that so many people show up now dropping their meme coins, if the whole industry does not turn like even more into a casino, and if we talk about retail coming in and private investors and everyone, if these kind of people come in and see this and basically buy into that kind. I mean, there will probably be a lot of people already who bought Trump at like 60 or 65 or 70 who lost money now, who haven't been to the crypto space before. So yeah, in the end, we'll have to see what happens. I feel like I've never been more convinced about the fact that only Bitcoin and Solana are probably the right place for this cycle. And everything else is just like you can make some money here and there if it's airdrops, if it's meme coins such as the Trump coin, but in the end there will not be many technologies survive, and Bitcoin will definitely be one. And I think, I mean, people have been waiting for Ethereum to break out as well. I'm unsure, have you read the tweet that Vitalik dropped, like about the new roadmap, basically changing the people who lead the Ethereum Foundation?
I have not. No, what's going on there?
It's actually like I can't really quote it, but it actually felt like a desperate move to basically bring back some attention to, because Ethereum has been criticized lately a lot, and Vitalik felt to me a little bit like Frank when he was desperate, like trying to change the direction now, and be like more of a people pleaser. But Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that Solana did very good lately because you've seen all the congestion. I mean, you even saw Phantom basically being loaded with problems with that amount of traffic. I think it went up to like the second or third, something like top three in the App Store in the United States.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know about like Solana because like will that Fire Dancer update ever come or not? But I don't see any like I don't see anyone replacing it as well. So yeah, like what you mentioned before that your Bitcoin exit will start at like around 120. So I know you also hold a lot of Solana. So what's your exit there?
On Solana, I I don't have a hard number yet because again, the alts are going to follow Bitcoin. So until Bitcoin does whatever it's going to do, I haven't made up my mind on the alts yet. So most of my Solana is staked. So when it hit 300 yesterday, I couldn't sell it anyway. I have probably, I don't know, maybe 70% of it is staked, and I hold, quite a few coins, quite a few. And so at the end of the day, like I'm not convinced that we're even halfway through the cycle yet. So depending on where Bitcoin takes the cycle, I'll start to maybe unstake some Solana here and there. But right now, the risk isn't worth the reward because if you have, like I've got several hundred Solana staked and it's paying me 7% interest in Solana, right? So like it doesn't make sense for me to dump Solana at 290 to rebuy it at, 230. That doesn't make any sense to me because by the time I pay transaction fees and then I lose all of what I would gain in the yield, then by the time I get back, I haven't made that much because right now Solana's kicking off like, 20, $30 into my account every single day. Like, why would I give that up? Right. So, I don't have a target for Solana yet. It's going to depend on what Bitcoin does because everything follows that. So Bitcoin at 120 means I'll probably start looking at, like a Solana exit. But again, it'll be a percentage exit. I won't sell all my Solana. So, when I'm thinking about these things, I'm just thinking about I'm thinking past the moment, which is one of those things I think a lot of people forget to do, especially in this space where everybody has to have everything yesterday and it's got to happen now and blah, 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 blah. Like if you just slow everything down and realize what's happening here, you can kind of see that you can smooth out the curves and you can project everything out and you can kind of relax a little bit. Nothing has to happen now. Like if you miss Trump coin, who gives a shit? Like there's going to be another coin that you can make money on or another NFT project, but you have to be paying attention and you have to be looking for them, and, if you're not that person who's paying attention, doing your research and looking for them, then you don't have any business buying any of this stuff anyway, right? Because you're going to lose. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, depending on what Trump does with the strategic Bitcoin reserve, I just got a text from a woman here who owns a mortgage company. And she's telling me that she has a group in Switzerland that she is working with and that they want to buy 10,000 Bitcoin a day. And I'm like, okay, well, how can I serve you? Like I'm setting it up because I'm going to take a fee. Like how can I serve you? Because she knows I know all this, or I know some stuff about Bitcoin, right? And so what I'm seeing is increased interest from people who would normally not be interested in the tokens. And so selling right now is honestly FOMO to be, when you think about it, really. It's like, okay, maybe you round tripped in the past, or maybe you missed a move in the past, or maybe you want to lock in your gains. But it's really just FOMO at this point, because with adoption curves, with governments coming on board, with banks coming on board, with financial systems adopting it, there's literally no reason to sell your Bitcoin yet. And if you understand that the alts are going to follow Bitcoin, there's really no reason to sell your alts unless you have to. And so I think that, the two rules, Buffett has this thing above his desk. It's like rule number one is don't lose money. And rule number two is don't forget rule number one, right? But rule number 3 is don't be an idiot. Like at the end of the day, if you are following the markets and you're looking at trends, that should govern your decision making, not what the market is doing. Because you're going to get shaken out when you shouldn't get shaken out, or you're going to buy in when you shouldn't buy in. So you have to look outside the market for the reasons to buy in the market, and I think that's the thing that most people miss.
I mean, I feel if I look at the markets now, or if I look at the sentiment now, I feel like it's very unique because on one hand, you have that euphoria, from, Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin made a new all-time high today, and it has been so volatile because I think this morning at like 102 or something, I checked the markets, and like 20 minutes later, I received a notification like, Bitcoin new all-time high. And on the other hand, you have these altcoiners, basically looking at their bags. Some alts are still down 80, 90% from its tops. And currently the whole focus is on Bitcoin, obviously, and on Solana and the Trump coin. And what do you what do you see happen in the near future? Like, do you think we will have that executive order, everything will pump again, and everyone is going to be happy? Or do you think there is a possibility of a major shift? I mean, right now we are still believing in the cycle, obviously, but we've also seen that one person can shake the market pretty hard. So yeah, what do you see coming now?
The executive order thing is, again, it's hopium. Like we're hoping that there's going to be some sort of executive order that addresses a strategic Bitcoin reserve, blah, blah, blah. And that's going to put a floor under, Bitcoin because there's going to be a steady stream of buying, blah, blah, blah. I mean, all that is possible. But what I would challenge people to do is look beyond that. Let's see, what happens if we don't get a strategic Bitcoin reserve? Are banks going to stop adopting it? Are countries going to stop adopting it? I don't think so. So while the strategic Bitcoin reserve or some sort of executive order that promotes crypto could be a short-term boost, the long-term boost is going to come from continued adoption over time. So I don't really care if there's an executive order or not. It doesn't matter to me. In fact, I would prefer that there not be any executive orders ever, because the U.S. was never designed to be ruled by executive orders. That's not, part of the makeup of the country. It was only designed to be used in like extreme situations, So I would prefer that not be the case, no matter who the president is, because, executive orders basically skip all conversations. And, at the end of the day, what do you want, right? Are you trading it or are you investing in it? It's two different mindsets. Traders are going to care about this short-term, BS that you see on the news. Long-term holders don't care at all because they see the trajectory and they don't have to sell. So, the thing that I wanted to say that I forgot to say about the Buffett rules, like don't lose money. Rule number 2 is don't forget rule number 1. Rule number 3 really is don't be a forced seller. So when we have people cropping up into Discord saying, "Oh, I need money, I've got to sell my stuff," they've become a forced seller. They're forced to sell for some reason that they didn't intend on. And that's what you want to avoid. So when you invest based on FOMO and excitement and desperation, you end up in all these situations where you're forced to sell. And this is horrible. In fact, I remember the first time I did an investment with a private company, I went and I sat with a guy and I wrote him a check for $100,000, which was a shit ton of money for me and still is a shit ton of money for me. And I still don't have return on that investment, right? Like I've only received 8% return on it so far. It's a land investment. It's been sitting there for years and years and years. And, their timeline is 30 years on this build out that they're doing, right? And so have land values gone down in the last decade? No, not at all. Has real estate gone down? No, not at all. So is my money secure in that investment? Yeah. But I have no control over when I get it out. So that's a problem. The other problem is when I speak to these guys, and I had one of my friends with me, like one of the questions that he asked the company is, can you think of a situation where you would ever be a forced seller, right? And we're sitting face to face at a table. And I'll never forget this, because had that guy not been able to assure us that he was not going to be a forced seller, then he would be unable to assure us that there'd be any form of returns. Because if they ever have to sell because of bad economies or, government regulation or lack of funds, then that removes any potential for gain, you know? And this is the same thing that I see with so many people saying, oh, well, I've got to sell because I need to pay the bills. Well, you shouldn't have bet money that you needed to pay the bills with, right? Like, that makes no sense. So like, you have to avoid being a forced seller, and you have to look at what's happening outside the market, not what's in it. And as long as you do those things, you're going to be fine no matter what happens with, an executive order or this, that, and the other thing, because, those are all short-term things. Like, just like when we saw a few weeks ago when the central banks, came out and they're like, oh, well, we're going to have to raise interest rates, right? What happened? All the tokens dumped like 10%, right? Everything was dumping. And then what happened 2 weeks later? Everything's right back up. Why? Because it's a temporary blip in the market while people restructure their portfolios. So if I'm a long-term investor, do I really give a shit about that, other than just saying, thank you, I was able to buy something 10% cheaper than I would have been otherwise? That's what you're looking for here. But again, you have to think past the moment, and you have to think at what's happening outside the markets. That's how I look at it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, I get your point totally from an investing point of view, but in the end, I feel like, I mean, take Jilly as an example here. I feel like Jilly has so much fun with the markets, and like in playing with the money, and a lot of people like see crypto as a hobby, like they like to watch what's happening, like they get happy if positive stuff happens. They maybe get like, I don't know, mad or whatever if bad stuff happens. It's like it's like, I don't want to say a game, because usually everyone is here to get profits and everything, but in the end, if like for me, for example, I do hold everything long term, but I do follow like a lot of news as well, even though they like that doesn't even like affect my investment at all. But I always feel like that kind of entertains me, and that's why why I feel like some people may see it a little different and not as logical, and yeah, you are always very calm about everything that happens in the market, because you see it as an investment, and okay, adoption is going on, and whatever happens tonight doesn't matter long term. But like I said, if I read about like an executive order later, I probably, like, you'll see a little smile on my face, and I can't do anything about it.
Well, there's no need to. I mean, like, it's like I have my opinions, but I usually, when someone challenges me, I always say, hey, crypto your way, do it your way. What you do has no bearing on what I'm doing, and vice versa. Like, if you think what I'm saying is ridiculous, or you think I'm full of shit, by all means, do your thing. Like, crypto your way. Like, enjoy it your way. Have fun with it your way. I have my goals and my strategies, and they work sometimes. Sometimes they work really well, sometimes not so well. I'm never going to be right all the time, and no one is. But do your thing your way, and like, if you can sleep at night knowing that you did the thing your way, and you're happy with those results, who gives a shit what Jason says? Like, I'm just some guy. Like, you be your own some guy, right? Like, who cares? That's so. From that perspective, hey, have fun with it. If that's your goal, have fun with it. If your goal is to gamble, go gamble. If your goal is to invest, go invest. Or if your goal is to trade, hey, more power to you. Do your thing. Has no bearing on what I'm doing. And what I'm doing should have no bearing on what you're doing. You should be thinking for yourself. And that's the whole point here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably never understand like meme coiners though, because like I feel like they're playing a different game here. They're basically, we talked about that plenty of times. Walking into the casino and just trying their luck. But do you feel like trading is actually a way of like do you think people can actually trade and make money long term
There are
without having luck? without having luck. I mean, like obviously there are people out there, but you always read numbers like 99% of traders are like in loss. But do you feel like that 1% is actually having a better skill set, and or is it like, okay, if there are losers, there must be winners as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to investing and trading and swing trading and day trading and speculating, like all these things carry different ideas around the purpose in my mind. So, if I'm looking to be a trader, again, like what kind of trader am I being? Can I make money being a trader? Sure. What do the numbers tell me happens in most trading situations? Well, what the numbers tell me is that the more you trade, the more you lose. So if I'm a trader, am I good enough to be one of the people who's not in the middle of that bell curve losing money? Can I be an outlier? And if you intend on being an outlier, then of course, yeah, like you're going to have to hone your skill set. You're going to have to get super good at what you're doing. And you're probably going to have to be lucky because, again, it's like playing in a casino. The odds of you winning are not in your favor. So you're playing a numbers game here. And if you understand how to do the math and play the statistical game, sure, you can win. But that doesn't mean you will win, right? Just like if you're going long, like if I'm long Bitcoin, doesn't mean I'm going to win. It just means I could win, Nothing is guaranteed. So yes, you can. And they're but with an asterisk, what I would say is that almost no traders make money over time. And those that do make money almost never make money more than they would have made just being in a long position. So you're talking about the very small percentage, upper echelon of traders who are just amazing, super good, or who have some sort of system that they're taking advantage of the market that skews the numbers into their favor. And that is very difficult to acquire, to do, to learn, and to get proficient at. So, it's like anything. Robert Kiyosaki has this thing where he talks about the average person, like the average person is broke, the average person has no money, average person is fat, average person, drinks too much. And the lesson in all that is don't be average. So if you're going to, be a trader, then you better not be an average trader. You better be a fucking good one. Like you better be excellent at what you do, because if not, you're going to lose. So I would just say, hey, go trade, learn hone your skills, do whatever you have to do to learn whatever analytical techniques you're going to employ, and then get really, really, really good at it, and then do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wondered when it comes to trading, you actually what you see is, people learning all these patterns, and a lot of psychology is involved. And I always feel like, okay, if that's true, like if you can actually just look at your little chart here with all the lines you drew, and you basically wait for a resistance or a support to hold, or a resistance to break, if that all was true, all the people trading would make money. So yeah, in the end, it's like I'm definitely not a huge fan of trading, but I do see that there is like a lot of temptation around it. Like you see people making so much money, and yearly salaries in one trade. But yeah, in the end, it's probably pretty, for most people at least, it's definitely closer to gambling than to actually investing and earning money. But as we have covered the Trump topic, the coins, the inauguration, let's jump a little bit to the Goodfellas as well. And um, moving to the Goodfellas, we're actually not even moving too far away from Trump, because tomorrow we will have a very special drop, a little homage to to our new president. And yeah, you created that drop. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the 21's Gallery, which is a gallery done in the style of the OG Goodfellas. And what it celebrates is basically key events, whether they're holidays, doesn't really matter. whether whether it's in North America, whether it's in Europe, Africa, somewhere across the globe. It doesn't really matter. Just celebrating key events, and we try to do a piece that honors that key event in our style. And then obviously we've got Trump being reelected for a second term, and this time he was elected by a landslide vote. Largely, largely if you look at the numbers, it was just not even close. And, given his competition, that was good to see because the competition wasn't really offering much. But in addition to that, he's purported himself to be crypto friendly, and he's proven that by participating in the markets, by talking about strategic Bitcoin reserve, which who knows if that will happen. But this is a huge moment, an inflection point in the history of the crypto markets, regardless, because he's come out in favor of, whereas previous administrations have basically tried to shut it down, whether it was the Biden administration, whether it was Elizabeth Warren and her little group, trying to shut it down, calling it a scam, calling it money laundering and all the rest of it. So this is a huge sea change in the mentality of what we should see from government. And there is no reason not to celebrate that. So we've got a little piece coming out that honors the man himself, done in our style, President number 47. And it should be a fun little drop. And I hope everyone enjoys it. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and you said it. I just read that Trump bought 47 million worth of Bitcoin during his inauguration, and we've seen a lot of crypto movements within his companies for the past couple of days. I think he bought a lot of ETH as well, but for now we are looking at the piece we are going to drop tomorrow, 6 p.m. UTC. When you hear the podcast on it's January 21st, obviously, depending on when you listen to the podcast. The drop will be today, or maybe was already, but we look forward to it. And yeah, I feel like it's. I remember that we actually rescheduled a planned 20 artist incubator drop, and when you had that idea of creating that Trump piece, I felt like, man, we should have done that way back. I mean, it's probably the best moment now, but Trump is history, and I really look forward to that piece. And I saw it already. I think it turned out great. You did a great job, and I feel like people will love it. And yeah, man, looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be cool, man.
Yeah, it should be good times, man. I mean, we've, like you said, this has been a long time coming. So I'm curious to see how people like it and all the rest of it. But it should be good times celebrating the first ever pro crypto president, which I think is like I said, a huge inflection point in the markets. And it's going to usher in a whole new era for, everything that we can do in the crypto world. But I think beyond that, it's going to encourage a lot more development on the usability side, on the UI side. And so for this reason, it's important that we stay in touch with what's happening on the code side of things. So, we'll see, but we've got some plans around, creating some good UI and, continuing to acquire artwork. So if you're out there and you're in a project and you're struggling and you're tired of dealing with Discord and all the nonsense, but you have good IP, hey, reach out to us. Let's make a deal. Let's acquire that artwork. Let's make sure it lives on. And if you're, into development and like creating UIs, let's have that conversation as well, because it's only going to continue to grow from here. So good times tomorrow with the little 21s drop. And that's all I got for you, my friend.
Perfect. So let's wrap it up here. Have an eye on the Discord, people. I'll summarize all the information on Mint Day again on our Discord in the Big News channel. We will have a great time. And I look forward to see you guys on Spaces this Friday or next week on the next episode of the Mint Mob podcast. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.